Let's take a closer look at the shootings in Charlotte and Tulsa. And for that, we turn to Marc Morial. He's the president of the National Urban League and a former mayor of New Orleans. He's in our Washington bureau. Marc, good morning.
Good morning, Anthony.
Let's start with the video that Keith Scott's family released. Marc, what's your reaction to that?
Well, the audio is certainly disturbing, but it points out why the dash cam video that's being held by law enforcement in Charlotte needs to be released. Until that video is released, I think there are going to remain questions, there's going to remain protests, and I think holding on to the video just breeds distrust. Many believe, Anthony, in Charlotte that they're holding the video until October the 1st, when a new law in North Carolina takes effect, which will in effect prevent them from releasing such a video without a court order. If that's the case, then they're simply breeding more distrust. In these incidents, the idea is for people to have trust and confidence that there is going to be a fair and independent investigation, and that if the investigation reveals that the officers used excessive force and violated the law in doing so, or violating police standards in doing so, there'll be accountability.
You mentioned that mistrust. When you look at just the numbers, more than 700 people have been shot by police. In your view, what are the first steps? What needs to happen first for that mistrust, that rift, to start to heal?
You know, I really believe that so much of this is on mayors and police chiefs and leaders at the city level, at the community level, who have to indicate that we are going to focus on public safety, but what we're not going to do is support over-policing or aggressive tactics that breed more distrust. I think that the breeding of distrust is why, in many cases, you could have an arrest, but the investigation is incomplete because people don't cooperate, or when a matter comes to court, police officers are not believed when they get on the witness stand. This is a cycle, and I think creating better trust requires work at the local level, but now this is a national narrative. And because it's a national narrative, I think it's an important issue in the presidential election, in congressional elections, in Senate races, because it's unacceptable. The cycle of violence in America, whether it's out there in Washington state, police killings of citizens, citizens killing each other, terrorism incidents, is something that is a tragedy in America today.
Marc, I mean, you've been a mayor, so you've seen this kind of from both sides. I mean, how do you communicate what you're talking about to a police force in a major city? All
I can say is that, in my experience, we needed to change the philosophy of policing, which we did in New Orleans in the 1990s, to a community policing model. And the community policing model meant police officers got out of their cars, they walked the beats, they were on bicycles, they were building relationships in the community, they were learning who the community leaders were. Community leaders therefore shared information with them so that they could respond. We used technology like CompStat. We also had a significant investment in youth programs, which in these neighborhoods creates a sense of hope and a sense of support. So the solutions are comprehensive to create mistrust. What's going on in many urban communities today is that the economic challenges that people face, the poverty that has risen in the aftermath of the Great Recession, has had a debilitating effect, and hopelessness and a sense of lack of confidence in the future has crept up. Even though the economy has begun to come back, many of these communities feel locked out and left out of that recovery. So there's underlying social and economic issues that have to be addressed. But at the end of the day, we need a 21st century model of how we police America's communities that creates trust, but also creates trust with an aim, importantly, of having safer communities.
Marc Morial, thank you so much.
Thank you.